So hi.
Hi.
So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, even starting with your name.
Okay. My name is Michaela. I go by Qush.Qween on the internet. And that's at Qush.Qween with a Q on Instagram. And then my art page in store is Qush.Qween Creations, which is just launching. So it's still a little bit fresh, but it's building up I just have been putting a lot more energy into that recently. I'm a cannabis patient and advocate, a chronic illness warrior, I would say. You know, as much as I hate that word sometimes, I have come to embrace it as I kind of have to with the life that I am living. And yeah, I would say I'm a patient, an advocate, a fighter, and an artist.
That's amazing.
Like a little shorter blurb on it.
Yeah, but sometimes we have long blurbs for a reason
Yeah.
because we've had long
Like,
life experiences.
I could go into it in depth,
Yeah.
and we will, but
Yeah, so I'm Gabe. I go by they, them pronouns. And I am a queer, trans, non-binary disability activist. I consider myself a cripple. I totally feel like, yeah, I consider myself a cripple. I am an advocate for queer, disabled, and cannabis education, as well as accessibility consulting. So I've started that up more recently in having have so many people ask me to do things for free and fix their things. I was like, here's my card. I charge $500 an hour.
No, you got it.
Who else is going to have that information but me of why this isn't working? I know why. I'm not telling you. Like, if you want the answers, you're going to pay me. Yeah. So, if you want the answers, you're going to pay me 2020. Gabe is the person who's interviewing you today. Like, yeah, basically.
No, exactly. Like, enough of us working for free. Like,
because Crips do it often. Crips do it often because we want to help.
And on top of that, we have the information that people need, you know, like I say this all the time when it comes to making events accessible and things like this. I'm like, and they're like, we just didn't know. Like, I'm like, we do hire us. Like,
how could we have ever known?
Right? I'm like, we didn't
hire Crip.
Having stairs was a problem. We didn't know a proper washroom was needed. Like, it's like, okay, hire someone who has those needs and they'll be able to actually tell you if your space is accessible and all these things, you know. Like, I'm definitely like pushing in that direction of no, like, hire us. Hire us.
And like, that's going to be the chant. Hire us.
Literally.
Hire us. But it's really important that in a lot of like disability media, it's like for us. It's like about us, never without us. Yeah. And I'm switching it up and pushing it even more forward. It's like by us, for us.
Yeah.
Fuck educating the normies.
Mm-hmm.
If you're normies and you're listening to this, I love you. Please still send me money on PayPal. But like, there's like, a reason.
You still need to learn. We love you.
You still need to learn. We love you. But a lot of times it is a lot of emotional energy to put into always that education. And sometimes the best education that we can do for a community is within our own community.
Absolutely.
And not try to go into any other community first. Maybe, okay, let's start and let's make sure all of our folks have what they need.
Yeah.
Let's start there, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, with me, it was, and the goal of Young Queer Sick is to get what we're called as patients. Let's start back up with people that have disabilities and that have long-term chronic illnesses and that have other types, that have any type of neurodivergence. How do they best keep a good dialogue with their medical practitioners? Anyone from a PSW to your physician to your surgeon. How across that streamline can we have respect and respect in communication? And because when we have better communication, we're gonna have better outcomes.
Absolutely. The amount of just like medical PTSD and medical trauma that like, yep. I'm like, I know that you know, I'm like, not to get too heavy, but like, I'm going
Oh, we
there.
can. Oh, I'm okay to get heavy
I'm like,
today.
I know you will feel, so I'm going there.
Yeah. We
like,
can emotionally, we can roadmap our conversation to be like, this is about to get heavy. So for those of you, you might want to skip forward a little bit because like we might get heavy up in here.
Yeah. Like literally the amount of instances of that are so avoidable that just didn't need to happen in any case. Like the amount of times I leave the ER and I'm sobbing and I'm destroyed and I'm, you know, crying to my partner, like they don't believe me. I'm not like, you know, like
I'm not really sick. I'm not really sick. Like that's all you think coming out of the ER is like, I'm not sick.
Exactly. You're like I had a recent experience where I was literally bleeding internally, and because of my other illnesses, they did not want to treat, like they would not treat it. They just assumed because of my other treatments, they're like, well, you're already on some pain treatment, you know. They just did the whole like, oh, your pain treatment. I'm like, I don't want pain treatment, I don't want to die. Like, can you address the internal bleeding? Because I had when all through the stay you have doctors who are like, this is serious, you're gonna need blood transfusions, and then you get like one like idiot doctor who hasn't talked to you and it's just like, we're gonna discharge you, and then the nurses are like, you can always come back tomorrow. And you're like,
my favorite phrase is, I refuse to be discharged.
I literally, the amount of times I sit there and I'm like, bring me a second opinion, bring me a third opinion, bring me another doctor. I will, like, bring me another doctor. Like, I have literally sat there insisting, I'm like, bring me someone higher up, bring me the charge nurse, bring me the person in charge. I'm like, you can't do this to me. You literally cannot.
Bring me your supervisor. Bring me the floor. Bring me the floor supervisor. I will wait 4 hours.
Yeah.
While I bleed internally.
I have
to.
Yep.
I'm like, oh no, just call the urology person on staff. And they're like, do you know how long that takes? I'm like, usually approximately 4 hours. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, because I do this every approximately 6 weeks. So you go call them. If not, I have their phone number. I actually used to have their phone number and I would be calling them in the ER. They're like, so what's up? I'm here again. You want to come?
I have the urology clinic and surgeon's number. And it got to the point where he just like wasn't coming, and they brought another urology guy down, and they were like, well, we don't know like what we can help you. And I was like, well, you're gonna try a medication because I'm here for the third time in like a week. So, and like I literally was there. I was like, here are some medications you can try. I'm not leaving in this state. like literally, you know, like, and like we're so like fierce in those situations. We just shouldn't have to be.
No, and the thing is like we're fighting for our rights in those situations where like we're fighting for our rights where the one guy who's having like mild chest pain is getting every single thing thrown at him and he is the reason. And you know what usually is the reason? The dude smoked way too much pot. Do you know how many fucking times I've heard that in the ER when I'm like sitting there and I'm just like, cause like curtains obviously like block out all sound.
Oh yeah.
All sound is blocked out by curtains.
Privacy, but
like what is privacy in the ER? I know all of your medical things. I am so sorry, but like, well, I don't know who you are, but like, I know all about what you went through.
Yeah.
And like, the person is just like, like they're like, we've run everything by you. You've been here. Like, basically, they got in after me and they got in before me because they were having chest symptoms. Obviously.
Yeah.
Turns out this dude had just smoked the same amount of pot that he did a year ago when he was smoking pot every single day. And basically, this doctor didn't even know how to advise his patient on safe cannabis use. And so he gave the patient even worse cannabis advice than like than any person at a dispensary would give. No, because doctors don't have cannabis training.
Yeah,
No, like, so when they ask me, they're like, oh, so you use cannabis for pain management? I'm like, yeah. And they're just like, that obviously, like, that has changed how all doctors have interacted with me.
Same. I literally was just gonna say, like, I didn't want to like jump it, like talk over you, but I want to jump in because so I have ehlers-danlos syndrome, and it causes a lot of gastrointestinal like issues along with like the joint problems and all of that jazz. And for the longest time, the gastro issues actually presented before the joint problems, which like made my diagnosis process like even longer and just yeah, exactly, like ridiculous.
If it's not classic EDS presentation, oh, good luck with that shit.
Yeah, literally, like,
yeah.
I was sick literally from childhood. And
I don't want to interrupt you. For those people that don't know what EDS is, can you just spell out the word? Just because that's something we forgot to do.
Absolutely. So EDS is Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a connective tissue disorder. It affects the collagen in your body. So a lot of the times people think that's just in your joints and stuff, but the thing is your connective tissues in your entire body. So it can affect your heart. I have a heart condition from this all. It literally affects your whole stomach because the tissues in your stomach. It affects your ligaments. The connective tissue doesn't hold your joints together, so you just dislocate like butter. Like, I will stand up and my joints can't support my body, so they just go out. Like, exactly, you know, like, yeah. Even in the hospital, a nurse will, you know, take my arm to take my blood and she'll pull my wrist out and she won't even believe me. I'm like, you just dislocated my wrist. And she's like, I couldn't have. And I'm like, look at my wrist. Like, this happens all the time. So yeah. That is
Ehlers-Danlos, and that nurse is like, I'm like, always ask before you touch me. Like, always ask, because nobody asks before they touch you in a hospital. Yep. So literally, like,
you just injured me. Like, you just physically injured me. Are you aware? I have had to get.
Do you want to put that back in? Do you want to get the doctor to put that back in while you're in here and get me a splint?
Ortho consults multiple times in the ER from reasons unrelated to why I came in, but from doctors injuring me. I had a person, while unloading me from the ambulance, jam my arm into the door, completely injured my elbow, needed to x-ray everything. I was in like a whole thing for all of that time. I had, you know, the wrist issue, and literally I'm like sitting there and they're like, you'll be fine. I'm like, no, I demand that you do tests. I demand that you document this and do imaging. Like, you're not just gonna not do records of this. Like,
oh no, they don't want to do records at that point.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not recording this. You're like,
yeah. I'm like, oh, you think I have full notes.
Yeah. How do you find managing your spoons in those situations? Like, emotionally, and having the resiliency to keep pushing and asking for things? Like, is an emergency room a place where you're usually supported, or that you go alone?
So I'm usually in the ER alone because my partner works and I can't work the traditional way. You know, like, yeah. I'm like, I do.
We all work, okay?
Exactly.
Chronically ill people work. We just work different.
I know. I'm like, I'm still doing things.
I don't have enough time in my day. Trust me.
Literally, I'm like, I'm 100% doing stuff. I just can't go and work a 9 to 5 or, you know, an 8 to 6. And he has to, and he can't miss that because, you know, he's supporting both of us. So he has to do that, and he comes, you know, after his job is finished, but, you know, he's only there for a short period of time. So there is a lot of lying in there alone, and it's, you know, the doctors come in and you muster everything and you give everything you've got. but I'm not gonna lie, like when the doctors go, there was a lot of like deflating and being like, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. Like, oh my goodness, like how do I do this? I give up. And then the doctor comes in and you're like, okay, let's do this again.
So you're like, let's muster it back up. Like how much like I like, oh my God, you were telling my story too of like being in the ER alone. I have not, up until recently, had a significant partner. And so I started with my disability. We still don't really know what it is. I have a neuromuscular disorder, it seems, from what's going on. It looks like I might also have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because my youngest sister has EDS symptoms, and is also chronically ill with a neuromuscular disorder. Yeah. And then my two other sisters also have neuromuscular disorders. So it might be like genetic.
Something in that. Yeah.
There might be something genetic happening like up in there.
Yeah. There's something
there's something in the water. Like there's something in the genes, or there's something into the French Canadian inbreeding, as I like to say. Not in the recent generations, but in generations past, y'all fucked me over. And
my Starbucks.
Lovely. And this was my birthday present.
And my dad's in. Ooh.
And it's my favorite.
A good cat mug.
Oh yeah, always a good cat. Because you're like, my Starbucks came in. I'm like, great. I'm gonna top up my coffee. I'll be right back.
This is my refresher, which is full of caffeine, but is my like cheat for when I can't quite do coffee because it will murder my bladder.
Yeah, same.
What is wrong with me? I want
to dab. I like how the beautiful butter is coming out now.
I literally was just like,
it's gorgeous. Like, that's why I said, I was like, that's beautiful. I don't know if you know, but you should. It's beautiful.
That's Tora Bora Live Resin.
Alrighty, so you're going with Tora Bora Live Resin, and this says CBC critical mass, but it is not what's in there. It is a salad, because that's what I like to smoke. Nice. And I ordered 6 ounces of marijuana this morning.
Nice.
Because I don't know about the supply. And
I'm really concerned about it, and I don't have the funds to do a big stock up, and I'm like very anxious.
Okay, so I will put this on the live stream because I think that these people deserve business. So the company that I use is called Fair Canna Care. Okay. They're much less expensive, and their grams start at $2.50.
Oh wow!
0.5 a gram.
Wow.
And this weekend they're having 10% off flour sales, and they'll have like 10% off edible sales, 10% off shatter, 10% off
it's
butter.
Like good, like it's like strong.
Yes, it is.
I find like some people will be like, it's so cheap, and then you get it, and I'm like, this is completely dry.
Like
you know,
the stuff that I've got. This is my first time ordering flour from them, so we will see. Okay. I will report back for the flour.
Good. I'm like, send me pictures.
But I've ordered the resin before, and they've sent me flour before, like as a present when I ordered like a lot of something.
Yeah.
And this weekend they're doing a 10% off flour sales. So I was like, okay, I'll restock my flour with them. Because right now, like, because I use a licensed producer most of the time. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful nug. Like, you even see me go in, I'm like, ooh, that's pretty.
I wish you could smell it.
Oh, I'm sure it smells great, because like the nugs I have right now are like from my LP, but they're tiny.
Yeah.
But they're tiny CBD nugs, because CBD tends to make tiny nugs, I think.
Yeah.
Unless it's...
it definitely doesn't make as pretty bud, but I find it's like
more... It's packed for your punch, because I ordered myself half an ounce of Cannatonic, a full ounce of Charlotte's Web. Like, full ounce of Charlotte's Web. Gorgeous.
This is Purple Nukin from Flawless BC.
Yeah, like, Like, because what you have around right now, like, is like, I literally have a small jar that has maybe 10 nugs in it and then some shake. That's all I have around right now.
Yeah, this is like my stock up for the month right now.
Yeah, you stocked up. That's beautiful.
I always buy like for a month, like at the beginning of the month.
Yeah. Oh, I know a lot of cannabis patients that do as well. I tend to have so many ebbs and flows with my cannabis use because I also use Nabalone, which is the cannabis.
I'm so glad it works for you. It made me really sick.
I'm so sorry it made you so sick.
It really, really made me sick. I couldn't even finish the trial run of it.
That makes me like, yeah,
because I had, my cannabis specialist, obviously, like, because when I was, a little more of my cannabis story, when I was started medical cannabis, it's funny, I actually was like a child when I started. I was literally so sick, I was starving to death. And my parents were literally, because I was living at home, I was still in elementary school. And like my dad actually was the first one who brought it up to me. And I don't have a good relationship with my parents. They're actually like abusive. I've cut them off. But he literally came to me and he was like, and he's not like a stoner. Like this isn't, but for him to come to me and be like, I've like, the only thing I can think of, like, can you please try like medical cannabis? Like, I can't watch you starve to death. Like, I can't keep watching this. And I was like a little goody two shoes. Like, I literally was just like, I don't know. I don't want to do drugs. Like, I literally was like just this little baby who was like, I don't know. I don't want to smoke weed. Like, and then a couple years passed and I got so desperate. Like, I was just so on the brink of death, like ready to end it if I didn't die first, like just so miserable that I bought some at a party, just from someone, because I was like, you know what, I'm going to try it on my own. I didn't want the pressure from my parents. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try it because I just want to see. And literally, I smoked it out of a plastic bottle with a pen down stem and paper, like like classic,
oh my god, like you're one off from a soda can. Like,
yeah, literally one of those like MacGyver bongs.
Oh,
coughed for like 10 years. But literally, I was lying on the floor and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't feel sick. This is insane. I don't feel sick. And then like I started smoking it like at home, like still hiding it from my parents. And there was one point where my dad walked into my room and he was like, are you smoking, like, you smoking weed? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, you could have like told us though, because like I wanted you to do this. And I was like, yeah, I know, but like there was pressure. And then he like was like, okay, no, this is good though, this is good. And he noticed because like I started coming down for dinner and I would be like, can I have more? Can I have like an extra serving? Like I would start asking for seconds, like I literally.
And your parents are like,
literally, my dad, like the first time I asked for seconds, he looked at me and he was like, you haven't finished a plate in like 5 years. Like shook. And then, I got connected with a cannabis doctor who like started the full process for like a legal one. But because I was so young, obviously you had to try literally every avenue, which I had already, except for the Nabalone, which is the synthetic cannabis. So he's like, you need to do the synthetic cannabis for a month, and then we can get you started with the full prescription. But the synthetic cannabis made me so sick to my stomach. I was so nauseous, literally 2 weeks of it. And I was like, I can't keep taking it. I can't.
No, because if you're taking something and every time you're just like, fuck, I'm going to get so sick from this.
Yeah. And I tried to push through because I was like, I want to keep taking it. I don't want him to like, like I want to stay the course. Like maybe it's just the beginning, like stubborn little disabled person. Just like,
you wanted to be a good patient. It's
exactly
like, cause if we're not good patients, then
we lose credibility. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. If we're not perfect patients, we lose credibility, then we're just drug seekers.
Exactly. And I, I pride myself, like I always take my doses as prescribed, like I'm, you know, like, so to have something like that where I'm like, I can't do it. Like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And of course I went and I was like, I couldn't, I was so sick. And he was like, that's fine. Like, that's fine. But it's great for some people. So like, literally, I'm so glad it helps you.
Yeah, in so many ways, I am beyond grateful of how much it helps me.
That's amazing.
Like, it's made a huge difference in my life.
And do you get some coverage for it too? Like,
it's because I'm on disability, it's completely covered.
Amazing.
Because it's expensive, right?
Yeah.
Navalone, that is the one thing that people do not think about with Navalone is extremely expensive.
But if it's covered, it's, you know.
If it's covered.
Such a stupid battle of like, oh, if it's covered, you're gonna feel great. If it's not, you're gonna
feel anxious as fuck about your fucking finances. Please let me take your beautiful hit, please.
Thank goodness for e-nails. It's like one of the best Christmas gifts I've ever received.
So what Michaela's smoking out of there is a rig, and what I'm smoking out of here is a vaporizer for those people that are just not canophiles, which is totally fine if you listen to this for the first time and you're like, I don't know what they're smoking. I'm vaporizing my cannabis.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are so many ways to consume cannabis, and it's amazing. And I love them all. You know?
Basically, I took my artificial cannabis with, because I have muscle spasms as well, and I have epilepsy. Yep. So I have muscle epilepsy, which basically makes me fold like a lawn chair. It's super painful, and then it takes everything a really long time to stop finally like contracting. Yeah. And my hands at their resting tone hand like this, instead of most people's hands are like mine.
Yep.
Just because
so you'll be like clenched.
Yeah, so I have clenching in my hands and feet, so my feet come in. It's called dystonia.
I was just going to say, have they diagnosed that? Because dystonia also comes with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Yeah, I know. They've told me, yeah.
I was literally going to be, I was like, that sounds like dystonia. That comes with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. That's something that a lot of my friends have, and I'm, you know, starting to develop a little of, and I'm working really hard to like physio it, but you know, at a certain point, Ehlers-Danlos is degenerative, you know? Like,
yeah, like, it's like,
and no, the second you described it, I was like, that sounds like dystonia.
Yeah, so I have also, like you, I don't have POTS. I have orthostatic hypotension, which is a type of dysautonomia like POTS, except when you get up, your blood pressure stays the same. Like your body's blood pressure like stays at a point, versus my blood pressure will tank. As well as the blood tanking to my legs.
Okay.
So, not saying that people with POTS do not pass out. You just have a higher likeliness of passing out, as far as I understand, with orthostatic intolerance. Orthostatic hypotension, because your blood pressure is generally low. So if you lay me in a bed, like if I am, like your blood pressure will depend on where you're, like if you're standing, if you're sitting down, or if you're laying down. Like my blood pressure will always be best laying down. Same with POTSies, that you like to put your legs up onto like a surface and like lay down and let all the blood go back.
I can never be upright ever. Like,
I'm
even
like,
sitting up, like, this
I'm
is
like,
like the most I can do.
Yeah, like, I'm reclined in a chair, so that, like, and I have compression socks, like, on, like, 24/7. Like, if I'm up, there's compression stockings on my body. If not, I will pass out. Or I won't be able to have a conversation with you because I'm going to be too lightheaded and I'm going to be hypoxic. So
sounds very familiar.
Yeah, so
like my wheelchair is constantly, like, I have to have it, like, reclined slightly. And, like, I'll get into some Ubers where, oh my goodness, me and Mel discussed this a little, of, like, the whole thing of getting into Ubers. And she was like, oh, you know, like, Gabe will get into Ubers and it's so, like, intense watching, you know, them, like, I, like, feel like the instructions. And I'm like, yeah, because they don't do it right. And you'll be sliding around in the back of an Uber, like, about to die. Like,
the one that doesn't want to do up all the clips.
Have you ever had the ones that are like, it's a short ride, you don't need a seatbelt?
Yeah. I know. I've had ones that are like, it's a short ride, I don't need to lock you down. Or that pulled up the thing without locking me down. And I was just like, you didn't lock me down. Come back. Lock me in. And then they'll do 3. And I'm like, I have to tell you to do the 4th fucking one? Do you not know how 4 axles work?
I
you have
literally
a fucking car.
lose my mind every single time. And they'll be like, no, it's fine. And I'm like, no, actually, it's very dangerous and illegal. That's my reply every time is, no, actually, it's very dangerous and illegal.
Yeah, and, like, I've had, it's illegal and dangerous, and also, like, do you know what's gonna happen when you stop? The one part that I'm not hooked on, that's the part that the chair is gonna go off. You're just gonna go click.
I've literally had it pop off, and I'm like, I am unsecured in the back. You need to stop your car right now. Like, I've had it pop off in the back, you know, like that one time where I'm too tired to fight them and I'm mostly secured and I'm like, okay, I can't.
Or you just, like, decide to hold on.
Like,
you're like,
you know, you're, like, mostly secured and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna fucking whatever. And then it fucking pops off and you're like, okay, you know what? Stop your car. You need to deal with this. I'm not safe. It got to the point where my partner literally was like, if they don't do it properly, you need to get out. Like, you can't keep doing this. I'm worried. Like, I'm worried.
Yeah.
And, like, literally now, like, I feel like, you know, like, it feels kind of bitchy, but you get in, you're literally like, this is where you lock it. They argue with me on where to put it on the front. I'm like, I know how to lock my chair in. Please listen to me. Yeah. I know how to lock my chair in. That's where it goes. Stop arguing. And they're like, no, I think it goes here. And I'm like, no, it pops off every time someone puts it there. Like, people just need to listen.
I know, I've had that conversation with Mel too, that, like, we had a super intense cab ride to the Shangri-La. I don't know if she told you about that trip, but, like, it was just, like, an intense ride there because the person, like, was, like, not following my directions ahead of time to come pick me up on the accessible side of my building. I'm going to be plugging in my computer so that we're not losing us. Give me a hot second.
Okay.
I'm so unprepared today. First time's for everything, right? Let's not hit the mic. Good. No hitting the mic. No hitting the mic. I'm thankful I have a lot of outlets.
Yeah, that's key.
Alrighty, we are plugged in.
Yeah.
And back. And we're just gonna
slide on.
That's just called the crib, getting into chairs.
So relatable.
Like,
see how I try to slide off of my couch?
Like,
I'm like, I can't get up.
Like the amount of times that I've literally thought I've fallen and I cannot get back up.
Me. I'm like, I haven't even fallen and I can't get up.
Get up. Whereas I had like slid down, like, so nothing's connected to this side of the computer, so it's fine. So I'll show you, my wheelchair is just next to me right now. So
yep.
These are my wheels.
They're
So also having the tilt, getting that tilt in.
Yep.
Because like that's fucking important because blood pressures.
Yep.
And just like having a chair that's like comfortable enough and like dealing with that whole system of it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you personally use Wheel-Trans at all?
So I'm currently in the process of the application for it because I put it off for a really long time, just doing waves because I was like, I don't know if I really want to do Wheel-Trans. I was just really hesitant about it, but my OT was like, no, you should sign up for it. Like do it. Like she kind of pushed me for it, so our application is like pending or whatever.
Yeah, it'll take a bit because they have to do an in-person interview.
Yeah.
And I highly doubt that they're going to change that to over-the-phone interviews because, you know, those aren't going to do anything that's helpful for CRIP people. Yeah. So my biggest thing is that you just I just had mine recently. I put it off forever because I had a lot of hesitancies with just the system and what I had heard about Wheel-Trans. Yeah. But as a wheelchair user, like with limited means, I thought that it was I ended up being a much better idea than just getting cabs all the time. Yeah, is what I was doing because
that's what it came down to for me as well.
Yeah, you just do cabs all the time, and then in the end, like half the time they're sending you a cab anyway. You just can't do anything. You can't do a lot of things in one day, which sucks.
Yep. So, and it's very costly for every single trip, and it's not a great ride. It's very stressful. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and like even Wheel-Trans can be stressful, but like most of the time I found at least they lock me properly now. I don't have to argue with motherfuckers about locking me in properly.
That's good. That alone is a huge stress off.
Like that alone took off a lot of things for me because I could be like, oh, okay, so like when I can go and use Wheel-Trans, like I'll be locked in properly and I won't have to argue with anybody.
Yeah, like you can get in and not have to worry about it.
Yeah. Have an advocate with you there for your Wheel-Trans interview is what I suggest because you can have a person, especially if you don't fit any of the boxes, which I promise you Ehlers-Danlos syndrome is not a box. I looked at the boxes and they're the usual boxes that everyone gets. Like, you know the boxes. The regular diseases.
Oh, yeah.
The normal diseases. Not the 1 in 500, the 1 in 5,000.
Yeah.
Not the one that
I don't care that I have 16 things wrong with my body because none of them are the average things.
Exactly. I can have like 20 different syndromes and yet still not have a diagnosis and therefore not get something. Yeah. Like that is one of my things. Oh my God. Why the fuck does that have to be a thing?
Yeah. Did you apply like on your own or did you apply with like an OT helping you?
I applied. I have a health nurse coach. Okay. I'm really, really not lucky. It's out of the University Health Network.
I'm getting one as well, actually. I was supposed to have it like a couple weeks ago, and then this happened.
Yeah, then this happened, so it's a lot harder for them to support the people they have now.
We're supposed to have like a phone call, but it's...
Yeah, but to be honest, if you are getting a nurse health coach, best fucking thing ever gonna happen to you.
I'm so excited for it.
Like, your life is gonna get so much easier. If you think you're doing, like, say you're doing let's just pick number 10, for amount of like medical admin, you're going to be doing 2 now instead. Like you will go down 80% in medical admin.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Because they'll be able to get into the system for you and like get shit done. Because once you have one of those nurses, they have special powers.
Yeah.
In the hospital. Sorry. Keep going.
Yeah. My family doctor is an incredibly amazing person, and I'm so grateful for that. She's fan-friggin-tastic. And she was like, okay, your case is super, super complicated. You need someone who's gonna like be on your side, who can organize all this and, you know, communicate and all of that. So she organized all that, and I'm really excited about it. But obviously I don't have that yet, but my OT did fill in like a page for my Wheel-Trans application, like writing about like all my limitations and like all that stuff. So I'm hoping that will help.
Yeah.
Because like obviously she did, because she did an in-home assessment for me. So I don't know if that's going to change things, because she's personally assessed my like needs and everything, and like how I can, you know, function and get around and all of that. She's done that assessment already and recommended Wheel-Trans, and then filled out her part of that, being like, okay, this is why she needs it, this is how she struggles. So I hope that will help and maybe expedite it a little, but we'll see.
Maybe I really hope for you that it does. And like in the end, try to have your nurse health coach, they can come to appointments with you.
Oh, awesome. I didn't know that.
Yes, they can. You just have to
awesome.
It's amazing, and they'll advocate for you. And what my nurse health coach does for me a lot is before meetings like with a neurologist, because I am going to have merch outs about how I feel about neurologists. Ooh, there's going to be t-shirts about how I feel about neurologists. Before those appointments, we have an hour beforehand that we set out the points of like the things that I want to do and the things that I like, my expectations from the appointment, what I want out of the appointment, and things that we can't leave without.
Yeah.
And so we make a game plan ahead of time. And then when we get in, she helps me execute that game plan through my brain fog, because like, hello brain fog.
Yeah.
And short-term memory loss.
No, that's so good, because like I literally do that before complicated appointments, because I have like a few like really important ones going down right now, pursuing like additional diagnoses, because of course I need more diagnoses, right? I don't have enough wrong.
You gotta catch them all.
Right? Literally. But they're like really important ones, and like going into it, I'm like, oh my goodness, like how do I do that? And then still you'll get that doctor who's just like somehow manages to ignore every like really knowledgeable piece of like no matter how eloquent you come in, no matter how knowledgeable you are, they just completely manage to like disregard you, and you're like, I'm a smart person, listen to me. Like it's so frustrating. like the amount of times where I'm like, I know you're a doctor and you know more about things than me, but this is an illness I've had. Like I am not saying that my research means I know more than you, but this is a rare thing, so I know more than you. Like, you know, like if it's something rare and very particular that they're not going to have studied, that we have, you know, that has been singled out for us, that we have put so much like thought into and read so many medical studies on, like I'm not just reading Wikipedia, you know, like I'm reading medical articles, I'm reading medical journals, I'm reading actual like things written by doctors and surgeons. Like I'm not just going on WebMD and being like, I have a brain tumor. Like
yeah, and yet we're still treated like that.
Yeah, like literally, like the second the doctor hears you've done research, it's like a bad thing. And it's like, no, you should be happy that I'm caring about this and want to know more. Like
yep, I have that same angry because sometimes they argue with me, because my background before becoming a chronic illness and disability advocate was in neuroscience and in brainstem neuroscience, and I've been published. in that. And then like they'll argue with me and I'm like, I probably know the brainstem better than you do because I've literally imaged it.
Yeah.
So like
they feel like they have something to prove.
Oh, I am every neurologist's worst nightmare. When I come in and I'm like, that's not like actually true. I'm sorry. Like that's a thought, but like that's not been proven, and like that's like one group's hypotheses. No.
That's me in gynecologist and urologist appointments. I'm like, actually, you're wrong. That's been disproven. That's a really old theory that has been disproven right now. That's based on a study that was proven wrong and was done with incorrect medical data. That study was done incompletely and they didn't test all the dosages, and that medicine's actually really harmful. Like,
can we just talk about gabapentin? Like, can we just talk about fucking gabapentin? If we've been like, medicine is really harmful, I'm like, gabapentin?
Yeah.
Whoever the fuck is behind gabapentin is just sitting on cash. Because that shit does nothing, and we're all supposed to be on it.
Yep. They tried. Thankfully, my pain doctor's good and didn't try, like, was like, okay, no, it didn't work, go. You know, like, he doesn't like push meds too much. But I have some doctors like that do. Like this gynecologist refuses to acknowledge that I definitely have endometriosis as well as everything else, right? Because we have to have that too.
Oh, collect them all.
Exactly, and just refuses to acknowledge that laparoscopy and excision is the gold standard of treatment. And do you not know this?
Oh, I do, but why does that doctor know? I'm like, no, I know this.
She did not mention it. She did not bring it up at all. She did not even, so after she mentioned all of her stuff, I was like, so, like, what about excision surgery? Is that? And she's like, well, yeah, I guess surgeries are also, they could be an option, but it's not really good. Like, it's not really a good option. I'm like, well, actually, excision's the gold standard of treatment. And then immediately she was just like, I shut off. And I'm like, is there no benefit to a laparoscopy to actually prove the diagnosis? Because I have literally 5 doctors now who are like, you have it, you need the test to prove it. And I'm like, is there no benefit to a laparoscopy to prove the diagnosis? Because she's like, okay, we want a Mirena and we want Lupron. And I'm like, Lupron. You cannot put me on Lupron.
No.
You cannot put me on Lupron. If I get bone density problems, I will die. With Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, if I get bone density problems, I will die. Like, literally, she was like pushing this Lupron and she didn't even name the medication. Didn't even name it. She was like, so, you know, like, there's medication and, you know, we'll start you on it. And I was like, so are we talking about Lupron here? Like, you know, like, after she's done her whole spiel, you know, I'm just like, are we talking about Lupron? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, and I didn't even go into the whole thing of like Lupron studies or completely like fucked up at the base. Like, they didn't test all the dosages in the studies, and it's not a long-term medication that can go for long and all of this stuff. I literally am like, well, actually, with the potential side effects for bone density problems, it's extremely unsafe to give to an Ehlers-Danlos patient. And with my comorbid diseases, I can't be put on that medication. And she's like, well, I don't understand that illness. So
you don't understand it, so it doesn't exist? Like, what the
fuck,
doctor?
Goes, I don't understand that illness, so
look it up.
She literally was like, could you ask your doctor if you could be on it?
You're like, I've literally just told you I can't be on it.
I literally am like, my doctors would not allow me to be on this.
My pharmacy would not fill it. Like,
literally, like, it's it is literally contradicting medication. And So she goes, okay, so then our options are the Mirena.
And I have to ask a silly question. Is Lupron and Visane the same thing? They might not.
There are a couple different MRNH antagonists that work differently. So one of them is like a long-term injection. One of them is like a pill that you take differently, but the base medication is the same.
Okay. Yeah. So it's still, yeah. Okay. Because I have endo. I don't use Visane or Lupron. Yeah. Mirena worked well with me. Yeah. And now is just clawing itself back slowly from the depths where it came. Motherfucking uterus, stay inside your walls. We made you a little box. Why the fuck won't you stay there?
Right? Like,
it's almost like none of my tissues want to do what they're supposed to.
I know. It's almost like maybe there's something wrong with the collagen. Yeah. So like appointments like that where I'm like, I just know more than you about this, clearly.
You're like, so
I'm like, and I like before going into that, I was like, okay, I'm learning everything about endometriosis. There is so many misconceptions about this. I'm not going to have a doctor tell me stuff that's wrong. I'm like, thank goodness I did, because if I didn't know stuff going into that, like I literally was like, I'm willing to try the Mirena, but I'm not going on Lupron, and honestly, excision is the gold standard. So, so I'm going back to my doctor and getting a new referral.
Yeah, I can send you the names. I can send you the Endometriosis Society approved list of excision of doctors that know what they're talking about. They have an approved list in Toronto.
That would be great.
I can get you to I can send you that list because I'm still on that Facebook group, and I can add you to it.
That would be great.
So you can go and chat with those folks about like that. I have to warn you that there is a lot of misinformation in there. So like, just
I try not to
use the list of doctors, and don't manage with the people vaginally steaming with herbs. Just bypass the vaginal steaming herbs, people, and then you'll get to the rest.
That's just a hard no.
Yeah, I just have an endometriosis group that I am on that they have a good.
I know Nancy's Nook is good.
Nancy's Nook, as in.
It's a Facebook group for
for endometriosis. This one is different. It's just I don't want to say it on because I'm also shitting on it at the same time. I don't want to say the group and also shit on it publicly on the internet, but they're gonna know. I'm just saying, stop telling me what to steam my pussy with.
No, literally,
just take a knife and take it out.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, me. From so young, I was like, just cut it all out.
But the thing is, but if you're a man, they're like, definitely we'll do that. If you're like anybody else with a uterus, you're just like, they're like, no.
Yeah, they're like, you might want kids.
If you have a dick, they're like, yeah, we'll snip it, we'll unsnip it, we'll do anything you want with it. We'll even put embroidering on it if you want. Yeah. And with a uterus, they're like, wait, the population though. And I'm like, that's not my problem.
Pretty sure there's too many people right now.
They're like, but your freedom. And I'm like, exactly, my freedom.
That's the whole point.
That's the whole goddamn point, is my freedom. Could you take this disease-causing organ out now?
Literally.
Oh, so you said that you have bladder problems too. I'm totally interested to get into those too, because
yes. I'm just gonna plug in my phone 1 second.
It'd be important.
She's low. Battery. My dog is whipping a toy next to me. If you wonder what that noise is.
Can't hear it, so it's good. Zoom has pretty good noise canceling technology.
If you get noise in the background and all. get them to move.
Oh no, I'm not hearing any background noise, at least on my end.
Perfect. Just re-aim this. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, so I have lots of bladder issues. The diagnosis that we're looking at is interstitial cystitis right now.
So sorry.
Yeah. Constant pain, urinate like 50 to 90 times a day, like incontinence, just like it's just awful. Like it's just really awful.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, so they've done the surgeries, they've done the looking inside, but I have a lot of urologists who don't understand interstitial cystitis and how it's diagnosed, and like the guy who did the test basically did it and was like, well, we didn't see anything on the test, so you don't have cancer, was his first sentence. And I was like, we were never diagnosing for cancer. And I was like, okay, so what about interstitial cystitis? He was like, well, it's not a typical presentation. I would diagnose it as interstitial cystitis like syndrome. And I'm like, so interstitial cystitis? Because like that's how it's defined. Like it's defined, like it's diagnosed by not finding like any other of the problems and just having all of those extreme symptoms. And you know, they actually call IC, and IC is just short for interstitial cystitis for anyone else who's wondering. But IC is, they literally call it endo's evil twin, because they constantly come hand in hand. Yeah, they're very, very often together. And yeah, so it's a very comorbid disease with what I have. And I've had the symptoms for ages. I've been in the ER for like weeks because of it before. And literally I have doctors who are like, yeah, no, I consider that enough to put it on your chart as a diagnosis. But my urologist is like, I don't know. I think it's interstitial cystitis-like syndrome. And I'm like, that's not a thing. Like, if you Google that, that doesn't exist. That's not a thing. So he sent me to an interstitial cystitis specialist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll see how that appointment goes. But all my other doctors say I have it. And this doctor is just like one of those ones where I always come in with all of the information, and then he's just kind of like, you don't have cancer. And I'm like, I didn't think I did. Like,
you're like, what? Not what I was concerned about, but thank you.
It wasn't really on the table. I'm more concerned about the 100 urinations a day. You know, like when I'm coming in and I'm like, I literally can't get to the doctor because I can't go that long without peeing. That's a problem, you know? Like,
yeah.
There was literally a point where like my grandfather had cancer really severely. He passed away in January, and I couldn't get to visit him because I literally couldn't go without peeing that long. And like,
so sorry.
It's such a small thing, but it's a huge thing. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Wear a diaper? And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, I'm 23. Like,
yeah,
I'm 23 and I don't want to have to wear a diaper to go out.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to, and I shouldn't have to when there are treatments available.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like there are a lot of treatments available for this condition, and this urologist just isn't trying them.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you have a super shitty urologist.
Yeah, he's awful.
Like,
I later found out my friend who actually has the diagnosis, and she had a really traumatizing experience at the hospital with the same urology team, who basically undiagnosed her with interstitial cystitis, and she has stage 4 IC. So like the most invasive IC you could have. And they were like, you don't have it because it didn't show up on the scan. And it's like, IC doesn't show up on scans.
You're like, it's a neurological condition. It won't show up on a scan.
It's literally like the people who do an MRI and are like, you don't have endo. So like, it's not how it works.
Or that do, I got the wand, the internal ultrasound. They were like, you don't have endo. And I'm like, that's not how you diagnose it.
Diagnose it, yeah.
Like, you can get a very specialized,
if you have a specialist
ultrasound
with you who does a guided one, you can sometimes find it that way.
And like, no. You can
sometimes, exactly.
Maybe, but you know what you need to do? You need to fucking look at it.
Yeah. No, every time I go into the ER, because I have like crippling pelvic pain, like crippling, like constant every day. It's just awful. Every time I'm in the ER I have that symptom, of course, and that's not even always the symptom that I'm going in with, you know, like, and that's like the main concern or whatever. But they'll always be like sometimes I have kidney stones, sometimes a cyst is bursting. You never know. You
never know. It could be a thing. Could be another thing bursting. You never know. It's organs.
They always do the internal one. And they'll just be like, oh yeah, there's a cyst. And I'm like, yeah, we know that. We know that. Like, give me information I don't know. like
yeah. Tell me something I don't know.
Exactly. It's like, do a scan that hasn't been done. Like, do a test that hasn't been done. Like,
that's do a test that hasn't been done, please. Can we just not do the same test over and over and over again so that it keeps coming back negative?
I had that test 3 days ago. Can you please do something else?
I don't like that test. Can we try another one?
Like, that one hurts.
Can you not stick a wand up my pussy this time? Like circle around like my cervix.
Like, if I had any faith that this would help, or had anything to do with what was wrong.
Yeah, no, like with me, beautiful. With me, they thought I had IC at first. Mm-hmm. And then they did a voiding test, that you pee above the toilet thing, and they saw that my bladder couldn't contract actually, and that it was actually neurologic bladder and neurogenic bladder and not IC. So a lot of my pain was, and a lot of the pelvic dysfunction that I was having, a lot of the same symptoms you have, literally were just because I had a lot of post void. Yeah. And whenever I coughed, I would cough out that post void, and my pelvic floor was weakened because all my muscles are weakening. Yeah. Well, some are hypertonic. They're all hypertonic, and some are weakening.
Because, like, literally, like, it'll be like weakening muscles, but then the pelvic floor for me is so tight too, because I'm always like in pain and tense and like.
Mm-hmm. And then if you haven't done any physiotherapy to undo that, like, you're all up in there. Yeah. But the thing is, like, the first pelvic floor physiotherapy sessions are like you're like just talking to the person. They don't even go inside of you. Yeah, you're just like building trust. The second session
we're
is
not
like
trying to hurt you.
The second session is like literally like can be like another chat and external examination up until the patient is comfortable being like internally examined, and then we'll get to the point of like how much, like, can we insert a pinky without you having pain? Yeah. Can we just press here without let the pain and like have not the clenching response? And then they're the ones teaching you how to reopen and close and do those muscles contraction instead of the pelvic floor being like, because that's where my pelvic floor was at for a really long time. If you feel like this is happening a lot with the pelvic floor, if you can access pelvic floor physio, it's one of the best things.
I have a referral out for it right now. Yeah. I've wanted it for a long time.
It's so good. Like, honestly, like, find yourself a good pelvic floor physio. It will help, and it'll honestly even like just help with your comfort sitting, because I couldn't even cross my legs. I was in like my pelvis was just like. Eh.
You want to see how the Etsy is sitting?
Yes.
See if I can.
Yeah, no, and you being like nice and very flexible on your legs. Like when my pelvic floor isn't having a cramp, isn't in a spasm, I can do that. But when my pelvic floor is in a spasm, I can't do that.
Like my pelvic floor is tight as everything, but like
you're like, my legs still fold like origami.
Yeah, it's still like a jello.
You're like, I am still a bendy baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my legs are one of the things that, since they are so hypertonic, that I actually can't, like, fold them so I'm always the one sitting like this and just being, like, trying to, like, stretch out the legs on this side and, like, pull for the dystonia.
Yeah.
But it's so weird that it's so much of the same experience from, like,
it's, like, a lot mirrored.
But the thing is, it's not weird that it's the same experience because it's the same motherfuckers treating us all.
Yeah.
So, like, I highly expect they were going to change up their tally between 1 and 2.
Yeah.
What, you were going to start treating us like humans after a little bit? No.
What?
What? What is that even?
Magic.
Baby, it's magic. They're gonna think you're a human being. Baby, it's magic. I don't know where. There's where my other container went, and now you can see the mic. So
my wrist hurts from grinding. See, this is me. I'm like, grounding weed, and now my wrist is like.
I had to grind coffee this morning, and I have a hand grinder that I bought for myself before I got Crip.
Yeah.
And now I'm just like, what the fuck did I buy an artisan, like, grinder? I'm Crip. And I was like, because you bought it before you were Crip.
I need an electric grinder.
Well, that one's used for the weed. I'm not going to put coffee in the weed grinder. Are you crazy?
You need 2.
That's a lot of grinders. That's a lot of electric grinders in one place.
It is.
But
you said we have so many outlets.
I do have so many outlets. It was like, I will send you a picture of the setup here afterwards, and you're gonna laugh a lot of the way I'm attempting to do this, like to get some light from the outside so you can actually see me at first.
Yeah.
Like,
my apartment gets so little light, and it's so frustrating. Like, as soon as, like, a certain time of day passes, it's, like, pitch black in my apartment. And I'm like, give me sun. It's so sad.
Oops. Pardon me, I actually have to text back somebody. I'm a bad interviewer. But I have to text this person back.
No worries. There are people outside partying still.
I want to kick those people.
Can
you throw eggs at them?
It literally just stresses me so much. I literally want to go on my balcony and scream, go inside. Like,
I want to be the British police. Go inside, you. This is not a holiday. This is not a holiday. Go inside.
People have been partying outside my building the past couple of days. Like, y'all are trying to die. Y'all are trying to die.
They're not only trying to die, they're trying to kill me.
Yeah,
and that's where I have a problem. I don't give a fuck if you're trying to die. If you're trying to die, yeah, I don't take personal offense in the fact that you're trying to kill yourself with a virus. That's your own fault. I take personal offense in the fact that you're trying to murder me and my weakened intercostal muscles. Those muscles will not be able to fight off, and they've already told us Crips that you ain't getting a ventilator.
Exactly.
And so I'm like, fuck you, eugenics.
Care suddenly.
Did we ever get it though?
Yeah, I mean, they've taken away the little care that we do have, and now all the able people get it.
So nice, right? Like grocery delivery. Like,
I'm so tired of having to beg the void online just being like, can someone help me? I literally don't have food. Like, I like, thank goodness for like mutual aid resources, because damn.
I'll ask you this offline because it's personal information, but maybe I can help you out with that.
Okay.
I'm making a note that I'm like, I got an email about something like that recently. Maybe I can help you out with that. Make sure that you all have food and like can do your shit and stuff. Because that's important.
I literally couldn't get my meds the other day. My friend who is quarantined out of town, masked up, drove like 3 hours to pick up my meds and drop them outside my building so that like my partner could go down and pick them up. And like, I was just like sobbing to her on FaceTime, being like, I'm gonna die. It's like 10 medications, and like they like on the phone were just like, the delivery guy already left. The next slot's Monday.
I hate my pharmacy when they do that to me. They're like, oh, I'm sorry, they already left. And I'm like, well, that's your problem, really, not mine.
Literally. And my pharmacy knows me, like the head pharmacy guy, like he'll make the guy come back. But it was some new girl who doesn't know me, and she was just like not listening to me. And I'm like, no, like you this is life or death medication. Like you need to like make this happen. And she just wasn't listening. And I literally am like, call the head guy, like call Walter.
You literally know his name, and you like know his wife's name, and you're just like, call Walter.
I walk up and I don't have to say anything. He's like, hey, Michaela.
Same with my pharmacist. They're like, hey, Gab, and I'm like, hey, how's it going?
He literally is like, hey, Michaela, I'll get it ready.
I'm like, hey, Kevin, hi, what's up? And he's like, oh, not bad.
Yeah.
And
I literally call, and I don't even have to give my name. He recognizes my voice. Like,
my doctor's
like
office
some new
is
girl
like that.
being like, you don't get your meds. I'm like, no, I do. Like, I do get my meds.
You're like, you don't understand. I get my meds.
I'm like, I keep you guys in business.
I'm like literally 3 times a week you have to order stock just for me. So calm the fuck down, okay?
Literally, my medications, there are a bunch of them they don't even stock. They've started stocking them just because I need them.
Yep.
Like, I don't think you know who I am around here.
You're like, do you know who I am? Do you know?
Do you know who you're speaking to?
Do you know who clocks that amount of clonazepam in the back? I do. I'm the reason that you have the big ass bottle of clonazepam in the back. So you fucking bring it out to me.
Mine.
The Valium is mine. Bring it. I have chronic chronic Charlie horses. You better fucking bring it.
Literally. Like, give me my meds.
Especially if it's things that like, and when I found out that like, oh my god, that I could get prescription naproxone, I was like, at 500 milligrams, I was like, hello, we're never buying naproxen ever again.
Naproxen is another one that doesn't work at all for me.
Like, fuck, Michaela.
I know.
Not like just fucking, the fucking best one though, fucking morphine. That shit is good.
Morphine?
Oh, yes. I recently had to go into the ER because I have a catheter. So, I have a catheter that's called a suprapubic. So it's the one that's done above your pubic bone. And then they go into your bladder. And then they fill up the balloon there in the bladder. But I didn't want to go into the ER like I usually do and have a urologist do it. So I got a nurse to come in. Yeah. And the nurse put the tube in through the first track that goes into the bladder, into my bladder, through my urethra, and then inflated the balloon inside of my urethra, where it was poking out of my urethra outside of my body and going loop-de-looped. It loop-de-looped me.
Oh my goodness.
And I didn't know that up until the next day. where I had a massive infection when I woke up and had to be rushed to emergency room via ambulance.
Yeah.
And that day I got a lot of morphine.
Yeah, I believe it.
And the rule is for every milligram of morphine you get is a day you don't poop. So be careful.
Morphine was one of the ones I was trying. I'm on a stronger one now, but I was on a morphine patch for a while that helped. That was like a daily constant release thing.
Yeah.
That helped. I take Dilaudid now, which is like the Whomper.
You take Dilaudid, I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, I am happy for your pain management.
That's awesome. No, my pain doctor is really amazing.
Yeah.
He's very receptive, and like with stuff, like even like my family doctor, she's like, oh my goodness, you look like you're kind of a human right now. And I'm like, yeah, you have my pain meds. I'm doing a little better.
I might have misheard you. Did you say that you take Valium and that you take morphine?
I don't take the morphine anymore, but I did at the time. So now I take Valium and hydromorphone.
Okay, so my doctors are being fucking assholes and telling me I can't take both of those at once.
You can.
Thank you. Thank you. Because my ass went into a pain clinic and was told that I couldn't take both at once. And I had to choose between my epilepsy medication and my chronic pain. And I was like, sure, I have seizures on a best of day about 3 times an hour. And on a worst of day, they can happen every single minute. So
you absolutely can. The worst thing that could happen is your oxygen level can drop a little, but that mostly happens while you're asleep. So it mostly happens if you take your Valium at night, like as a sleeping med.
I take my Valium during the day.
Yeah, that's what, like, literally. So if you take it as a sleeping med, your oxygen can drop a little. But
I have a BiPAP machine.
Yeah, like that. Literally, that is what. And even then, like, it's not. Like I've had it in the hospital where I was on like drips of hydromorphone that were like more intense than what I take at home, and like I take a Contin and I take immediate, so like that's heavy duty when I'm in the ER on an IV. So like when I'm on an IV and in the ER, they have to put me like on oxygen while I sleep, just as a precaution, like because my oxygen will drop in the night. But like at home I'm fine. Like yeah, and like my lungs are bad. Like I have to use one of the, like, you know, the things you blow in and then the balls go up. Like I can get one ball up. You know,
sometimes like both balls don't rise.
You know, there's 3 balls and they're like, you should get all of them up, and I'm like, I'll work on it. Like, literally my partner takes it and he's like, and it just like all goes up, and I'm like, okay, so I have a fight to make with my doctors. We're waiting for the pain clinic to get back to tap me to get back to us, and make a fucking fight, because you abso-fucking-lutely can. I take both. I take hydromorphone all day. I have Contin all day in my body, and I take Valium every day. So
okay, so there was a big, like, this doctor literally didn't even look at me too when they were talking. They looked at the computer and talked.
He was being one of those doctors.
Yeah, and even worse, it was a she, and I'm like,
ooh,
you're trash.
She's being one of those doctors. You absolutely can take both.
Sweet. Because I knew that I'm like, okay, so it could have breathing problems, so what are we talking about? And now since my doctor's just like, I don't know what to do with you, and
they're probably just trying to be extra cautious because you BiPAP, but like literally because you BiPAP, it won't be a problem.
Yeah, that's the thing, is they didn't get like the BiPAP actually kind of helps at this point. And since I vaporize now and I smoke a lot less, it's easier. Yeah. But as I say this, I will smoke a joint with you.
Yes.
And I'm just looking
I rolled
at
a little baby joint.
Little baby joint. It's a beautiful baby joint. I just need to use the washroom as we talk about our chronic problems. As I've been sitting here and I have consumed one thing to drink and I will need to pee.
Yeah, literally. My Starbucks didn't give me a straw and I'm sad.
The awkward.
Yes. The slide.
This will be in the video. This is the best part of the whole fucking video is me getting in and out of this chair. Baby, I'm back. Back again. Oh, okay. So have you ever taken this drug for your IC?
I'm trying to find it.
I have a storage fucking facility of this shit.
Give it to me.
I'll happily sell you a box. I'll sell you a few boxes.
Please. I literally have been looking.
Yeah, I know. You can only find these in the States.
I know.
And my partner's mom is a gynecologist in just across the pond in Minnesota.
Smoking my eye, but I'm still so excited.
Smoking my eye and I'm excited. But yeah, this one comes with 30 tablets. I can give you 2 of my packages of 60 tablets if you want.
Thank you.
And I'll sell you at the price that they sold it to me at.
Amazing.
We won't talk about that price over here, but I can get you a few boxes.
Yes. Thank you.
And I'll also tell you on Amazon where I found them.
Okay.
They're not as good of a price, but up until if you do run out, I can get more, because I might not be able to get more for a little while, or I might ask that I just pay the shipping on a giant. If I find a few IC patients that need it, if we can get a few people together that need this drug
and I can throw in for shipping, if you're doing.
Because if I can get a good group of us going.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's just FedEx it.
I'm sure my friend would throw in too.
Yeah, I have other friends with IC. We're just going to go on an IC group. I'm I have an access to AZO.
Literally, and everyone will be like, what?
I have access to AZO for 30 pills a box. Yeah. Who wants in? And then people are going to be like.
My first introduction to that, my friend with IC was in the ER and some doctor wrote her a script for it, described all this stuff, and she was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be amazing. This helps with all of the things that are wrong right now. Yep. Went to the pharmacy and they were like, we don't carry this in Canada.
No.
And she was devastated because she's like, why would they write me the script? Why would they write me the script if I can't?
They don't know.
Yeah. She literally was so devastated.
There's supposedly one compounding pharmacy in Toronto that still compounds it.
Yeah, she gets it compounded.
She gets it compounded. That's what I thought. But compounded is super expensive. It's $2 a pill, right?
It's more.
It's more now?
Yeah.
Okay, because I used to pay $2.20 in 2015. I paid $2 a pill for it.
Yeah,
I remember more. No. I had gotten 100 pills and it cost me $182. I remember it was 180 some bucks.
It's more than shit.
Now it's more. No. I have a supply to that and the generic version.
Yeah, she literally can buy 10 at a time. It's not.
She can only buy 10 that's so sad.
You literally buy you can only get a tiny amount and then it's you have to save it for literally when you have to go to the ER.
It's no. Instead of being
the quality of life,
Yeah, instead of it being a daily remedy, it ends up being your breakthrough med. So for people that don't know, for pain management, there is what you take for your pain to stay at a baseline where you can live. We are not talking pain-free. Michaela and I sitting here chatting are not pain-free. No. I have been vaporizing for an hour or so. I am not pain-free. My knees are killing me. My neck is killing me. I have a facial migraine, and I have TMJ that is very severe. So much so that I need to wear a mouth guard because if not, it'll move my fucking teeth.
Yep.
It literally, I've had perfect teeth my whole life. It fucking moved my teeth. I'm gonna need braces because of this disease.
And you know what? I believe more and more that you have EDS every time you talk, because
I'm waiting for the clinic to call me back.
Because
folks.
the collagen in your gums, and this gets a little dark, but the collagen in your gums, literally, it gets so soft that you lose your teeth. You lose your teeth as you get old. A lot of people with EDS end up needing full dentures. And
I'll get them gold.
Yeah, and your teeth, they, like mine are, they break. They just break. My teeth are, I am missing teeth. Like, if I open my mouth for you right now, I'm missing a tooth back here. I have teeth that are completely sculpted of cavities, or not cavities, like the filling for cavities.
Mm-hmm.
And I never had cavities there to begin with. There was no decay, but because of how fragile they were from ehlers-danlos, they just break. Not even while I'm eating something. I'll just be sitting, and then my tooth will crack in my mouth, and I'll just teeth will fall out.
Literally, everyone's worst nightmare of their teeth falling out is literally something that happens to you regularly.
It is horrifying. Just a week ago, I was eating ice cream, so soft, just ice cream, and my front tooth
just
completely snapped. The whole bottom of it is gone.
That's insane.
My teeth just break. So and every time they go in, they look, they're clean. There's no decay. There's no cavities. There's nothing. So there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, it's not like you need to take extra fluorine. It's
literally, they're they have no idea how to help me because my teeth aren't in good shape, except for the fact that they break off in my mouth.
Because the collagen isn't stable and the bone isn't stable, and and then that person wants to put you on fucking Lupron.
Exactly. I was just about to say.
I was like, I'm thinking about the Lupron the whole time. I'm like, your teeth are already coming out. Let's not put you on Lupron.
Literally, I'll just be sitting and my teeth come out of my mouth. I literally a panic nightmare for me will literally be teeth just falling out of my mouth. But
I'm sure
it happens in the day too.
It's literally your worst nightmare does come true, but it's during the day, and it's just the shittiest thing ever. Yeah, my worst nightmare was to lose continence, and it started happening, and recently I got a surgery for a sacral stimulator. So my sacral 3 nerve is being stimulated by what I like to call my butt stimulator. Basically, I have a pacemaker in my ass, in my right ass cheek specifically.
Yeah, no, is an interstim?
Yeah, I got an interstim.
Yeah.
Love me my interstim. You're interstims. I know. I know folks with that. I know them. No, it's great. It's my first, I'm out of my first month on it permanently after the surgery, and I'm a whole new world.
That's amazing. Yeah, my friend with IC got one for her frequency and everything. She wasn't having incontinence yet, but just the frequency and pain and everything.
It helped with the pain so bad. It helped with the pain so bad. My pain has gotten so much better.
That's awesome.
And you can get it trialed too. That's the thing, I trialed it.
She had a trial one for a week, and it helped. So then she got the permanent.
Yeah, because that's an option for IC. You can get a stim. You can
I know.
You're do I know the options?
Bladder installations, Botox,
DMSO,
bladder removal, if it comes to it.
When I saw bladder removal on the thing, I was just wait, what? I was
yeah.
With me, before the interstim, with my neurogenic bladder, that was on the table as well. They were the next the next procedure we have is called the Harowitz procedure, where we go through your belly button and we just make a new tract for you and you have a new place to shove your catheter. I'm like, no!
You're like, what?
I'm like, we're not making more holes. Like, the solution to me already getting infections in these holes is not to make more of them. I am currently running 4 different infections at once. Like, and they're like, we don't think you have an immune problem. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I have an immune problem. Like, nobody can run infections like me, okay?
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, drop near my urethra and it's like, bladder infection.
Oh my goodness, my life.
I'm like, I didn't do anything. I didn't touch anything. I literally, like, didn't. I didn't touch anything.
Literally, and, like, my life.
The amount, like, were you ever on prophylactic? Prophylactic means that to keep it from happening. Were you ever on prophylactic antibiotics? So basically they keep you on antibiotics all the time so that you don't get a bladder infection.
I don't think it was an option for me. I think it was mentioned, but I think, like, because I took so many medications, like, I don't think it was, like,
the antibiotic wasn't gonna
I don't think it was, like, viable to mix in with my medications.
Yeah, fair enough. Like, a lot of times it's like they put it into the computer and it's like, will it mix?
Yeah, like, a lot of situations we have with my doctors, like, my doctor's like, okay, I want to try you on this. It contradicts. I want to try you on this. It contradicts.
Major interaction. Yeah. Not moderate. Just like, don't do it. Patient will die. You're going to murder it.
Yeah. So, like, they're always so worried, too, to, like, add more meds, because then it'll, like, take away, like, options for other meds I need. So they're very, like, worried about adding stuff. But I literally always have UTIs and bladder infections and everything. And
UTI Nation? Can we just have UTI Nation?
Literally, like, my
it's just a support group for IC patients called UTI Nation. We're just
does your residence and do you have the ability to take baths?
Sorry, say the first
one. Does where you live have a bathtub, and are you able to take baths?
I am currently I will be able to take baths soon. Like, I can take baths. Yeah. It's just because of the surgery I had to think, because I'm so many weeks post-op. I should be able to start taking baths soon, and I do take a lot of baths.
So here's a pro tip for you. Baking soda.
In the bathtub?
Baking soda in your bathtub, literally tons of baking soda. So this is, like, something that I see patients do a lot, but it works, like, for bladder, like, it neutralizes the pH in your bladder. So any, like, acidity or any, like, inflammation causing stuff, it literally neutralizes the pH, gets rid of the burning, and gets rid of the pain.
It might just be for the tip of the urethra, though, like, whatever, because you have sphincters there, like, none of that shit is getting into your bladder. Like, that's a sterile system. Like, I'm not trying to say it doesn't work. Like, this is not coming from, like, I'm just trying to figure out logistically. I'm like, there's sphincters there, Michaela. Like, ain't nothing getting up there. Like, because there's a bladder sphincter. There's the urethral sphincter, which means nothing gets into your urethra. Then there's the bladder sphincter.
Yeah.
Is it,
but
do you think
still, like, I don't know if you get, like, the external burning, too.
Yeah,
like,
I do. So it helps with the external burning as well.
It helps tons with that.
Okay,
like,
got it.
Yeah, I don't know, like.
Yeah, with, like, how it works. Maybe also because it works vaginally. Yeah. And, like, baking soda, like, is an acid. No, baking soda is a base. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, no, I think it's the
base.
The
definitely
other.
A base. So you're neutralizing.
It's been a while, but
I'm like, let's think about it. Baking soda. I'm like, no. The other thing is the acid that you mix with it.
Yeah.
Vinegar is the acid that you mix with a baking soda.
I think to get it in the bladder, because there's 2 ways that I see patients do it. So one is in the bath, and the other is you mix a certain amount with water and then you chug it. I can't do the chugging just sounds awful to me, but apparently a lot of people like do it and it helps a lot. So that's probably like better for like the internal pain. But like for me, I use it more like when it's like the desperate, like, okay, I'm like externally burning and I want to put, yes.
I'm like, fuck your baking soda, okay? I'm so sorry, but I'm giving you this. Fuck your baking soda approach. Yeah. We're fixing this. None of my IC siblings will ever have to struggle without this. Okay, this is one of my goals for 2020 is to get this back into Canada and not get it on Amazon like the insane thing that it is now.
Yeah. If one of you is a close friend of mine and we have spoken and you have IC and we are connected, reach out to me and we'll talk.
And same, if you are a person within the Toronto area who does or doesn't know me and would like to get in on the ordering a large amount of AZO for IC, or you want to donate to this project of getting AZO for patients with IC, we're going to be doing that, and we'll be taking on this project, you and me, Michaela. This is our project together. We're going to get IC patients AZO. Yes. And we're going to get UTI patients AZO, and we're going to make sure that it is not a criminal price.
Yes.
In where we live, and that people can actually have access to it instead of getting it compounded for the insane amount that it is, because often compounded drugs aren't even covered by the ODSP. Like me, I would have to be paying that amount, and we are already working with one medication, cannabis, that's not covered by ODSP that already should be covered.
And it's literally a necessary pivotal medication. Like, I can't go without this.
No.
So like every single thing that has a cost is another one. Also, shout out to this jar that my friend made.
That is an incredible jar. Maybe that's what I should do to my marijuana jars for when my marijuana comes.
Like, this is my favorite jar ever.
You want to shout out your friend's Instagram?
Yes, it's Tokerbell420, and she sells these on Sparkle Sesh.
Yeah, totally shout out your friend. If somebody makes something beautiful,
just throw that out there. Sparkle Sesh. She's about to launch new products as well. So
beautiful. Shout out your Canna friends.
Like, gotta throw that out there.
Yeah, one of my favorite Canna friends is at Luna Matatas, and
I follow her, so I'm gonna have to look into that.
It is a she, Luna, she or they. Since I am not sure, I'm gonna go with they for now. Okay. Because I have brain fog really badly. And so for those that don't know what brain fog is basically, remember when you wake up and you're still drunk? That's what I live through every single day. The brain that you're still drunk. That's how I describe brain fog. I would describe it. It's like when you wake up, you have a hangover and you're still drunk at the same time.
I would say, like, have any of you done the thing where you spin around a lot and then you look at the ceiling and everything is just, I don't know, we used to do that at camp a lot. I don't know why. And we'd be like, oh, and you know what? That's funny because a lot of us would be like, I feel like I'm drunk. So it's probably the same thing.
Yeah.
I've been sober for a long time. So
you're just like, I've just been too sober in my life. I'm like, that's
literally,
okay.
I'm like, what is being drunk? And like,
it's been a long time.
Yeah. I don't really fuck with that no more.
No, I have too many other medications in my body to be fucking with my alcohol. Like, alcohol interacts with too many things. Like, literally half my bottles say don't drink. And so I'm like,
I got to a point where I was like one sip and I was like on the floor and I was like, this doesn't feel good. I'm just killing myself.
Oh yeah. It caused me to flare. Like,
right? Exactly. Like, you just get sick. Like, you have one sip of wine and you're like, okay, this is clearly not right. Like, yeah. No,
yeah, it's lose my flamethrower to light my joint.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I'm a big fan of clippers. because like reusable, we love the reusable up in here.
Yeah,
plus
me too.
Plus the pokers that come out are key.
Love it.
I love blowing people's mind with that when people don't know that
there's
comes out and it makes a little poker for your joint.
For your joint. Aw, I did not know that actually. Thank you.
You didn't? Yeah, no. Every clipper, you just like, I don't know why I grabbed a different one to show, but
like
literally
every clipper
the part that like you pull for the light, you literally just pull it out,
and it can be a packer.
Yeah,
nice.
It becomes a little poker. Yeah,
nice.
And then bottom's refillable with any butane.
Yeah, same here. I got the refillable butane. That's why I have a flamethrower as a refillable butane. I'm trying, folks. I'm trying not to do disposables. And with me, this is how I fill up my joint, is I fill it up with a smidgen first. It says a smidgen on there. And then I pack it with a drop.
I love that it's the way it's a smidgen. It's like just a little dash.
Just a dash of this, a dash of that. Actually, there's one that says a dash. Hold on. A dash is too big, actually. A dash.
I love that thing so much.
And then the bigger ones say a tad.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
A tad of cannabis.
A tad of cannabis. Yeah, a smidgen, a pinch, a drop, and a tad. And my friends literally got me this to pack bowls with. They were like, these look like great for packing a bowl. I was like, thank you for knowing my necessities.
My dumbest dog in the world was just running around playing, and she just ran smack first into our like standing ground fan. And the fan's like teetering, and she's just like standing licking herself like, I messed up. I messed up, guys.
I messed up, guys. This is a lot.
Yeah, I'm like, you concussed yourself. Yeah, come here, baby girl. Yeah, did you concuss yourself?
Oh no.
Did you concuss yourself?
Babe.
I know. You concussed yourself. That scared me so much. It's a really big fan, and it literally was like Leaning Tower of Pisa all of a sudden.
Oh my gosh. It's been like so amazing to just get to chat with you. Like, Michaela, like you are definitely a Kush queen. That is like definitely like yup.
Yeah.
And
it's so easy to like chat to you too. Like,
thank you so much.
You get it. You feel like you get it.
Yeah, I think doing media that's biased for us makes it so that we have these interactions that aren't awkward, and like that you don't get these two different expectations from people. Yeah, now I hear them. Yeah, now I can hear them. It's okay.
You'll hear that one.
I'll hear that one. But like, that's why we have media bias for us. It's so that expectations are understood, and we have common language, we have common respect. And when you say that, like, I don't work, I can understand that. And then we can both expand on that topic instead of having one person who's always having to explain everything, and then at the end has no emotional energy or emotional spoons left, and the other person has like felt so revived, they're like, I've learned so much, and the person that has a disability has no spoons.
So like inspirational disabled person porn.
Yeah, which is the opposite that I'm trying to do. Is I'm just trying to have Crips talk to Crips, like Crip to Crip,
open conversation. Yeah,
between two Crips, just between
literally.
two Crips instead of between two hedges, between two Crips.
Yeah. No, literally. Mel was like, you guys are gonna stir some shit up together, and I was like, I'm ready.
We've already decided. We've already decided what to start stirring shit up with. It's amazing.
Our first one, my one plan that I've always had in the back of my head, where I'm like, how do I make this happen? Is like, I want an accessible fucking consumption lounge in Toronto, because every single one is upstairs, and I can't do it.
No.
I can't get into it.
Nope.
And I don't know. I need a accessible consumption space somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. I think that is a fair ask of the city of Toronto to have an accessible consumption space. And now that we're stuck in our houses, and maybe this will give us time to figure that time out.
Yeah, do some...
And to let the Crips of the world, like, as like the Ables are slowly figuring out Zoom, we've known this all along. Like, this has been a thing for such a long time. I'm like,
the conversation is opening. I'm like, we've been screaming this for years.
We're like, hi, we've been here.
The conversation has been open the whole time.
Yeah.
You just weren't listening. Like,
very much. So this will be one of many conversations between Michaela and I hope that all of you folks can keep joining us for these amazing and gorgeous conversations. And I'm going to end the recording there on both ends, and then we can end with like an actual chat. So